Little Hands, Big Attitude, Book 5, The Thief and the Sleeper, Chapter 6, 50 Feet Under. It had been 5 minutes. Shadow knew this because he'd resumed his counting and reached 60 that many times before starting over. He sat on the floor of the broken elevator, eyes closed and head leaned against the wall. Rouge had tried the buttons for a little while longer, but now it sounded like she'd also given up and was taking a seat across the small, enclosed space from him.
How long do you think it'll be before they come to investigate?
Shadow whispered. Rouge gave a soft grunt, and then there was a rustling as she reopened their bag of potato chips.
Not too long, I'd figure. They won't want to leave intruders unchecked.
But you're one of their guys, right? So you're not an intruder.
Well, yeah, but they don't know that it's us going in.
So, when they do come to investigate, who do you think will be the ones to show up?
Probably the Teth guy to get the elevator back into operation again. A few to restrain whoever they find sneaking in. Not too many.
How many are in the guild?
I don't know. A lot, I think.
Shadow frowned. She didn't know.
General guess.
100, maybe. I don't see most of them. They're out on assignment and raids a lot, so I don't know exactly how many.
The ones that you do see, what are their names?
They've got numbers that are assigned based on their rank in the group. They don't really have names. Why do you ask?
Oh, just trying to mentally prepare myself. Do you have a number?
Yeah, it's 600 something or other. I can never remember. And they usually just call me Batgirl anyways.
How long have you been with them?
Ever since I was littler. They took me in when I was all alone.
What happened to your family from before?
The bat gave a growl deep in her throat.
Not important. Just leave it at that.
Shadow did, but all of this seemed odd. She'd only ever mentioned the guild before as a collective, not any individual members, or any memories she had with any of them. They used numbers, not names, which seemed to be a way of distancing them from each other.
Why?
Because I don't want to talk about it. That's why.
No. Not your old family. Why did the guild take you in? It sounds like they only take in people that they think could be of some use to them. What did they think you could bring to the table?
Rouge was silent again, and he heard her shifting in place on the floor. Was she not sure why, or was it a reason she wasn't comfortable sharing? He didn't have much time to think it over, before the elevator shuddered again and he grasped tighter to the bar as it began to drop again with loud screeching and shaking back and forth. He heard Rouge yelp and was probably hanging on to the bar as well as they were rattled down the shaft. Whatever the cause for them suddenly moving again, it had them falling faster than before. The system hadn't been fixed, but more like something in the lock system had snapped. Shadow dared open his eyes, seeing the lights were still out, but there was still light. His body was giving off those gold sparks again, flickering as he panicked and his heart raced. All at once, the ride ended with a sharp jolt as the elevator hit what he presumed was the bottom of the shaft, and the hedgehog was grateful to have already been on the floor, or else he'd definitely have been knocked to it. The flickering slowed, the groans and moans of settling metal echoed in their ears, and both hedgehog and bat sat still, taking in deep breaths and trying to calm themselves down.
Well, here we are.
Shadow gave a little huff, and then crawled through the darkness to the doors. He wiggled his fingers into the slot and then pulled hard, grunting as it screeched, and then slowly the 2 sheets of metal were torn apart, and then he did the same with the second set of doors. They slid much more easily, and dim light poured into the space. Finally, Shadow could somewhat see around him, even if it was just a boring, empty hallway.
Nice one, Quills.
Rouge responded, climbing out in front of him and then offering them a hand and his stick. Shadow accepted them, looking around their newest surroundings. More white walls, empty corridors, and dim, flickering lights.
Sounds pretty quiet.
I know. Odd.
Rouge looked around, her ears swiveling as if trying to listen for sounds of other thieves in the compound. She pulled her jacket tighter around herself.
Come on. They're probably all down in the conference room.
Maybe. I think. Probably. Shadow did not like how many words for, not completely confident in my answer, he was getting from the bat all of a sudden. These humans were allies of hers, right? So it wouldn't be that unusual or wrong for him to just...
Hello? Anyone here?
Rouge shushed him, covering his mouth with her hand again, but this time fortunately minding his wounded leg and foot.
Not so loud. This is a secret base, we don't yell here.
Once again, Shadow pulled her hand back.
Rouge, we're at least 7 stories down from the surface of the Earth.
If each floor has ceilings this high, best guess about 8 feet, on top of supporting structure between floors, that puts us at least 50 feet underground.
Nobody's going to hear us but your guild buddies.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're expecting me to come back with somebody.
What do you mean? They sent you to collect me, didn't they?
Yes, but we didn't know you were alive.
The hedgehog's eyes widened and he grabbed Rouge's arms tightly.
You expected me to be dead? You agreed to steal a corpse.
Rouge pulled herself loose, rubbing her arms where he'd grasped them.
No. I was going into that base expecting to find a battery, or maybe the access codes to a weaponized satellite. I didn't know Project Shadow was a living creature.
Project Shadow. Those 2 words together sent another ping into Shadow's head, another attempt to pull his memory back to the surface. But unlike before, this one lasted long enough for him to get a look at something in them, or rather, someone. It was a human, a man with a large mustache and dressed in a lab coat, looking down at him with a smile that somehow appeared both comforting and disconcerting, like the man had been trying to make Shadow feel better, but was only making him more nervous. Shadow knew that he knew him from before, but who was he, and why did the words bring him to mind? Was he a part of it?
Hey! Hey!
Shadow jumped as Rouge grabbed his arms and jostled him a bit, shaking him out of the memory.
Earth to Hedgehog. You still in there?
Shadow blinked, and then grimaced as he put a hand to his head.
Oh, yeah.
Good, now come on. The conference room is this way.
Shadow was still.
How about you go get them and I'll just sit here and wait? I need to get off of my leg for a minute.
Rouge looked at him suspiciously.
How do I know you won't try to bolt?
Shadow gestured to their surroundings.
Broken elevator, injured leg. 50 feet underground. There's not really anywhere for me to go.
Fine, but you'd better still be here when I get back. Quill Pickle.
Shadow nodded. He took a seat against the wall, watching her hurry down the hall and then giving him one last, "I've got my eyes on you," motion to him before turning the corner and disappearing. With her absence, he could focus his thoughts a bit more without her interrupting. He closed his eyes, trying to pull the man's face back into view. For better or worse, he wanted to remember. He needed to know how all of this started. Another ping. Agent Stone took another long slurp of his coffee, one hand on the wheel of his RV base of operations as it rumbled down the road. Cars honked and swerved to avoid him, the agent plowing through traffic like a combine harvester in a field. He wasn't speeding, he knew better than to do that, but he wasn't about to let elderly commuters going 15 miles under the limit prevent him from reaching his goal. He didn't outsize the cattle trucks going along, but he still outsized the typical commuter, and more than once already he had used the Queen sequence with his horn to clear the lane. Did it confuse and irritate the heck out of the other drivers? Probably, but Stone didn't much care. He had a mission to complete, which meant he had right of way, right? The ping ignited on the console dash, showing a location ahead of him and outside of town. Perfect. It appeared that Project Shadow had stopped to rest and there would be less onlookers for their first meeting. Another ping from another screen told him that a military unit was headed for the same location. Stone clenched his jaw and looked ahead at the road as the speed limit increased. He needed to get there first. He needed to have the plan in place and ready for when his doctor returned.